we know the name of the band playing in the video?
You can tell. This intro is too loud to talk over. Welcome back to Wook Plus and Weekend Wook, joined by Kev the Great Went and T. Welcome back, T. We missed you, but I'm glad to have you back. How was Vegas? Was it fun? Was it everything I've heard it is?
Vegas has changed a lot over the last 40 years that I've been going there. I'll tell you that. Like, it's very different, but it's not. One thing that hasn't changed is the 48-hour rule of get in, do your thing, and get the fuck out of there, man. I don't know how people did night 0 and are doing 4 nights, much less people doing just the 4-night run. Like, no, absolutely not. No, it's a beast. It's a beast. It's fun as hell, though. It was fun.
I mean, there's been times where like just 4-night runs in like a safe generic plane location is like the debauchery gets out of control and it's too hard. And I can't imagine in Vegas, like that's out of control.
It's out of control. Like, yeah, like 4 nights at Dick's is one thing, but then 4 nights in Vegas is just like, it's not. Like the last night, I even texted you guys that afternoon we were leaving Saturday. I was like, we had to go through the casino and do a couple things and eat and find some stuff. And I was like at my end, like the cigarette smoke and the noise. And I was just like, I feel like Kev right now. Just get me out of here. Like, I want to go. Like,
that took Kev like 4 hours of being in Vegas, and he started messaging us. Like, literally, he's like, I landed, and like 3 hours later, he's like, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm fucking done with this place.
I know.
Did you get a chance to see any of the videos from the Sphere since you have been home?
I haven't seen any of the webcast videos. I've only seen everyone's postings, which I feel like are a better having been in there, are a better representation sort of what you're seeing anyway. But I'll watch tonight, and then I'm going to go back, and watch.
It's going to be, I'm going to be fascinated by your take watching the stream at home and having been there the first night.
I definitely want to go back and watch the first night that I was there for and see how it looked. On
the webcast direction on the first night was not as good. I feel like they didn't figure out how to capture and film it. I think by night 2, honestly, they kind of nailed it. Like, I know, like, I get you still can't get it at home, right? That's always the case, and it's especially the case in this venue. Yeah. But they did a hell of a lot better of a job.
A lot more wide shots.
Because every song they stayed wide, so you could see the graphic come on. The night 1, they would eventually pan out, but they would always have to be on a close-up when the song started. Some crazy shit would happen. You'd hear the crowd go nuts, and then they'd be like, oh, look, there's a fucking bubble or something. Yeah, it's a lantern.
Yeah, I can see that, too. And I'll tell you one thing. I was really impressed with how many camera people were actually in there. I mean, they were everywhere. You could see them, and there were guys, like, walking in the alleyways between the pit and the stands and stuff. And one guy had a full steady cam set up, and then there was another guy with a handheld walking around. And I was like looking around the venue, and the cost of putting that on has to be astronomical between the staff, the people that they had, like the lanterns. Like, I saw them pulling the lantern things out on the sides of the stage. I was like, I wonder what they're doing there. And then once they went up, there's guys holding them, then guys bringing them down. There's the security people. There's the venue. I mean, there are so many people in there working this thing. I was like, and these are just the people you see. I don't even know what's going on in the trucks and backstage and all that stuff.
And all that.
Can you talk a little bit about the situation getting in? Because I heard it was from hell. They funneled you all into like one lane or something.
I can't even. That was. Everyone just kept saying in line, like, a $2 billion venue and there's no air conditioning. Like, they had us all in these. It's like, if you come from like the Venetian, there's a hallway that you can take from the Venetian that goes right into the Sphere. We walked outside because it was hot enough, like nice enough outside. But then when you get to the venue, there's also an overpass bridge that you could take that meets up with that same entranceway in there. and those two converge in the hallway
Merge
before you get
lane.
in. And then outside, the guy is like telling you, he's like, the sky bridge is open. The sky bridge is open, trying to get people to take the sky bridge. So we're thinking, oh, well, okay, it must be less people up there if they're telling us to use that, because going around the side, the main entrance out front was insane. So we were like, all right, let's try this. So we go up the stairs, and then they hold you. So there's two, they divided the hallway into two directions, one going one way and one coming in. So first they had us go up the stairs and go the opposite direction of everyone coming in. And they just heard you. They like stop you and keep you stopped, and then let like 50 people go, and then let the other side go, and then let 50 people go, and the other side go. And meanwhile, you are just, I mean, it is so hot and stuffy and disgusting in there. And people are like, I don't know how people didn't pass out. It was bad. And then I don't know what happened, but somewhere the gate was unhinged, so everybody just cut over and cut off all the people that were in behind us going the other direction. And I mean, there was no stopping it at that point. We were like, fuck that. And then once you got in that line to get into the venue, it was another half hour at least of stay. I mean, it was a good hour and a half. Some people were in that line for 2.5 hours just to get in the venue that first night. It was insane. And then once you get in, it narrows down. There's signs that say 100 through 400 levels this way, VIP this way, and the floor this way. So basically every level goes into one entrance.
Tunnel.
Not like a 100 entrance, a 200 entrance, a 300, which they should have. It's 1 through 400 in one in, and then once you
right,
go
which is like 75% of the venue.
Yeah,
is going
exactly.
into one entrance,
and it goes from a hallway like this into single file lines to get in where the things
It's
are.
like the Holland Tunnel.
So it's insane. Yeah, of course the floor you can walk right in because the floor is so small. Like the floor is like not even a quarter of the rest of the venue. The floor is like tiny for how many people are in there. So then you got to get through. They pat you down and do the scanning. And I got to tell you, whatever Ticketmaster, we all have our deals with it anyway. But the scanning of the tickets it takes forever because people can't get some of them. You tap, some of them you hold under the scanner. People can't get it to like, you're like adjusting, trying to get it under the thing.
You got to turn the brightness up.
And it takes so long for one person to get through the thing. And then you get through that. And then you got to hit the security guy and everyone's got to. So you're like, it needs to just be walked through and it scans you. And you're like, if it turns red, you don't have a ticket. If it turns green, you're in. Like there has to be.
They're filming you and they got all that information anyway.
Anyway,
take advantage of
I know.
it.
And it says right above it, like we use facial recognition software here. Like, no, you're going to be like, and I'm like, great. Why doesn't that translate
if
to
you're gonna
getting
do it anyway,
easier?
then make me get in easier.
Right. Like it just, it was so $2
Maybe
billion.
they should have a TSA pre-check line for getting in a venue. You show your ticket that afternoon, you go online and
I mean, it would almost be quicker to everyone to have regular tickets again and just rip them as everyone comes in because it's a joke. Like and so the solution was the next day was they opened it a half hour earlier and then told people to come early. And you're like, that doesn't solve anything. Like
but you can't fix a basic design, an obvious design flaw of the venue. They should have called Disney because Disney knows how to move people.
Exactly. Like you never wait in a line. Like even getting in, they have it set up where there's enough ticket booths and enough people to get in that there's never a long.
And they wind you. You never feel like you've waited that long because you're always moving
even through the maze. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was really frustrating. And again, like no air conditioning, no airflow, no like $2 billion. And once you got in, it was awesome. Like as soon as you walk into the venue, it's like very space age and beautiful and cool. And like, you go in and then you
How
walk
was Trey's music?
The what?
How was Trey's music?
It was cool. Like it was all very ambient, like cool space, almost like a Space Mountain-y, like cool, like thing. And they have Alex was telling me they have the formula for the sphere written like in different places over it, and it's like these like like pi x equal blah blah blah, and it's really cool. Like they're in like they're on the napkins and they're like hidden in the walls and stuff of the venue, which is really cool. Like there's a lot of Easter eggs you can find in there, which are fun and cool. And I mean, when you're out in the lobby, it's really it's pretty like there's a lot of cool things to look at and stuff. And then you walk through the concourse thing into the arena, and it's just like as soon as you walk in there, you feel so small. Like the screen is just overwhelmingly huge. Like it's overwhelming. Even when it's just a single color, you're like, wow, this place is massively massive. Like
how were the bathrooms?
I only went once, I think. during leaves, I think is when I ran up and went real quick. And I mean, there's enough of them where they seem like they're pretty much almost outside of every concourse. So there's never really a too long of a line to get
Good
into
call
it.
for leaves.
And I will say the food is delicious. Like people can bitch about the concession prices, but the food is top notch. Like the pretzel stick things that we got, best I've ever had. Like the cheese sauce was delicious. They were like warm and like soft and not like stale or anything. Like it was really good. So that was cool.
Awesome.
If you're hungry. So it is first class. Like I will say they did a good job once you get into it. Everything is very nice and like state of the art cool.
I mean, it kind of has to be at that price point, but I think that it was successful enough of a run and the hype is high enough and they've done a good job with the webcast and getting it out now that this blowout of tickets is just going to continue. Every time they play it, this is going to be the hardest ticket to get. Harder than Halloween, harder than New Year's, harder than, any of the other tickets. And that's just the way it's going to be. I mean,
do you think that it can adversely affect ticket sales on the other side? Like people are like, screw it, I'm just going to save my money and go to the Sphere.
No, I don't think so. I think it's actually probably going to open up the band to new potential opportunities with new fans and stuff. I think that if you could see because think about the exposure in like the normie world, right? Like obviously we're always fucking talking about it. But like fucking AP pushing out notifications on people's phones, CBS, like
CNN, like
I had like coworkers and family that like kind of remember PHiSH from the 90s and know I like them, but like haven't heard anything. Were messaging me like, oh, everywhere I turn, I hear people talking about like not my friends in the scene, like people that don't know anything about it are messaging saying like, hey, I keep seeing PHiSH on the news. Like, I think this is a huge.
I mean, we already had a problem. We already had a problem with enough new fans, man.
Welcome, new fans.
I think the cool thing about them is that they continue to do the festivals and dicks and these like the good runs of things. So like regular fans that can't get to Vegas or don't want to do Vegas, like. One reason we didn't do the whole weekend was I didn't want to be in Vegas. I didn't want to be in Vegas past Saturday as it was. Like Vegas is crazy on the weekends just regularly. So like I was like, let's get in Thursday. Maybe we could do Friday if it works out. If not, let's get out of there Saturday. And like we saw today, the ticket prices for the first time have come down since Friday night or since before the show actually happened when we got ours. So it was like today finally from what was it when going in today? I think it was like 1,500 to start. And they finally dropped down into like 600-800 an hour ago. So they're probably still dropping now, but Sunday, I think a lot of people were leaving too, because people got to work tomorrow. So it was kind of the easier ticket of the weekend to get the whole time.
I think a lot of people left. That's why. I mean, A, because of work, and then B, just because they were holding out like you were. And when they got shut out of Friday and Saturday, they were like, fuck it, we got to give up.
Yeah, exactly. What am I going to do? Stay Sunday and miss work on Monday? So, but I think, Tim, one thing that will help is if they do 8-12 shows, it will help.
It'll help a little bit, but it's still going to be a hard.
It'll help dilute it a little bit because there won't be as many, like you won't have to go every night. Like, of course, it's a new show every night and people want to get it. But honestly, you go once or twice. It's cool. Like you don't, you can be like, okay, I'll catch them at the next at MSG again or wherever. Like I got the experience. You don't need to see it every time. This time it's still so new and something fantastical that you're like, oh, shiny new toy. I got to play with it as much as I can while it's here. Once it kind of gets going, I think it'll slow down. Plus, there's a second act to play there, and people who aren't U2 fans, there were people flying in from all over going that weren't necessarily PHiSH fans. Like I can't tell you the PHiSH fans that were in the casinos Friday night playing games that didn't get in. Like it's something I've ever really seen.
It was an expensive ticket. I mean,
it's
hard. All right,
lots of comp tickets. I heard quite a few people that the casinos got bunches of tickets.
Well, I'll tell you a little insider information. Like my wife, works with the Sphere people for promoting and advertising stuff. And she talked to her contact about trying to hook us up. And she was like, we're so oversold. And she's like, we're actually trying to get tickets back from people we already gave comp tickets to because we're out of like, there's too many tickets out there that aren't, that aren't available for the public and aren't things like we need to get some of those back and stuff. So it was a little bit hectic, I think. I don't think they were quite prepared for what it was going to be either. Like I think it's kind of like, oh, PHiSH, yeah, they have this following of people that'll come. Not like, oh, PHiSH, they have this following of people plus like the hangers on, plus this other old group that's going to come in just to see the Sphere and stuff. So it was a lot.
Chat had some really good questions that I don't want to lose on, because I think
Yeah.
these are interesting conversations to talk about. I thought this one was, is there going to be an East Coast Sphere? I mean, it feels like this is not going to be replicated for a very long time. I don't think we could say never, right?
Yeah.
But the economics of it, and MSG Entertainment's going to have a big fucking decade coming up in New York, because sooner or later, I think the arena is getting knocked down, and they're going to have to figure out all that. I feel like, yeah, maybe, but it's not for a very long time. I think you're going to Vegas if you want to see the Sphere.
And
where would it be? Would you stick it in Florida?
I think the thing about it is it's a destination place, right? Like you have to go to it. It's not going to be built in every city, or like, London already turned it down. Like they were going to build one in London and the people didn't want it. So they're not building it there now. So it's kind of, and look how long it took them to even build it, So like, there's a lot of like permits and getting the land, to your point, Kevin, where would it even be, and the design and stuff. So I don't know what they would do with it or how you do it. I think for at least the next 5, probably 10 years, it's going to be a destination place. Like you go there to see it.
You know where one's going to end up? Dubai.
Yeah, exactly.
They always want to have that kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah, someplace like that.
This was another one I thought was, how's the band gonna feel when they go back to the regular soundstage? I'm not sure about the band, but I will say I'm going to be pretty relieved and happy. I'm like, I wasn't there, and I'm not poo-pooing on it. Like, this has been a fucking phenomenal. I think everybody will agree this has been a success with the new venue. But watching last night, I was like, by the end of the show, I was so ready for just a normal light rig and the normal sound, and like no more fucking themes. I can't tell you how much I don't like themes anymore. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know where everybody else is on this, but I'm just like, it fucking kind of detracts from the whole thing for me. I liked the Bakers. I thought that was a very novel thing. But we've talked about this on the show when they did the number and the animals in Vegas, when they do like the water in Mexico. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not a big.
I found myself a little let down last night with the set list.
Only because of the fucking themes.
Because I thought so many other things. I was like, where was the Divided Sky? Where was the Billy Breeze? Where was
100%, Kev? I agree with you 100%. I was too.
I think when you listen to that interview with Trey, which hopefully like we'll edit up and play at some point, I want to maybe the full recap show or whatever. But he talks about, the themes not being overwhelmingly obvious, or over like going in and being like, oh, tonight's red, tonight's yellow, tonight's blue. You know what I mean? He's like, we don't want to do that. That's just lame. He's like, we don't want people to like see that. He's like, if there is a theme, it's very underlying, or it's not, it's not overwhelming to the point of this is it. It doesn't knock you over the head. And then same thing with the graphics. He talked about like, okay, if we're playing leaves, you don't want to see falling leaves because that's just way too on point. He's like, you want to do something that's a little bit more surreal. And he's like, you might not get it, but we get it and know why we're doing it.
Yeah, but he announced it, though. That's the problem. I agree with the sentiment of what he's saying, but on all these media blitz, they talked about the theme, and going into it, everybody was like, we're going to figure out the theme. It would be so much cooler if you just started seeing organically online and social media by night 3. They're like, hey, do you guys notice this coincidence? This is kind of neat. Do you think it's a thing?
I think he said that, though, to sort of like bring it together. Like, you know what? We're not just going in and playing this like that. Like we have thought about this. Like we have thought about like what we want to do each night and how we're curating.
Some stuff was on point, though. Yeah, I mean, like the mountains and the mist, the farmhouse, some of this stuff was completely on point, and I think that those things work the best. That wide shot of that farmhouse with them there in the farm, that looks so cool. I don't care. I know people say it's cheesy, but I loved it. Cool.
It looks so cool. And like, I didn't even notice Northern Lights at first, which obviously, of course, they're going to do that. But like, Alex tapped me, was like, look up. And then you looked up and they spread across the top. Like they started way in the back and came up, and you're like, oh, that's a little on point. But like, to his point of not beating you over the head over it, but like it worked.
Last night, whatever song had the clouds in it, what was that? Sigma Oasis, maybe? Had the cloud trees. They had a turtle formed in the clouds floating above. That's an obvious nod to a song. So they were they gave you the Easter eggs, but they didn't hit you over the head with
but it wasn't
maybe,
in the song that was Turtle in the Clouds, right? Like they didn't put it in Turtle in the Clouds. They put it in a different song that just sort of, and they did that a lot with some of those things, was like give you, but to be honest with you, like my favorite, like we talked about before, like, my friend with the red thing was really cool the way they did that. And I think still Antelope, and I know the other day Brandon was talking about this on series, Antelope to me still had the coolest graphics because it didn't relate to anything. It was just fucking awesome. Like it just works so well with the song, and it was the coolest, like the way it would go. Oh, it felt like you were inside this like net or whatever it was, or like space or whatever it was, and it worked so perfectly. And that was really cool. Contrasted with like Mike's song and Lifeboy and Pog that had that like Zelda feeling, like big landscape.
I like
thing.
that though. I thought that thing.
That's what I mean. Contrasted with that works too. It's just, and that's not super obvious, right? Like that left you going, why would they do that for that? You know what I mean? Which was cool. So
we got a repeat graphic visual last night almost with the My Friend thing they did again. Yeah. With having them all up on the screen and the shadow going in the back.
Yeah.
That thing was cool. And you got to,
she worked on Stop Making Sense. And that's like one of the famous Stop Making Sense things. So that's neat.
And you got the tweezer cars again. That's what I was just going to say. You got, but a different version of sort of the tweezer cars with
the Twister version,
which I thought was weird. But I didn't, I was in bed early last night, so I didn't see the recap. But what did you guys have to say about Reprise on that night? Like not waiting till night 4 to do Reprise like usual.
I think I didn't say it last night, but I think they have something specific for tonight's encore planned, and that's why it wouldn't work there. And then also the whole Twister thing made it feel like if the theme was atmosphere or gas or whatever or wind, right? I feel like the whole Twister thing kind of works with the cars, but it is weird to have a night 3, a penultimate night reprise. Is very odd.
even to your point, even if it is planned, you usually still have a reprise after the planned shit. Like it's still like, okay, we're gonna come in, do these 2 songs, and then still have a reprise to like end the show and like wrap it up.
Well, so tonight's the last night, so on tonight's recap. We'll figure it out.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, no, that will be a good thing to bring back up and see what it is.
We got probably 20 songs left because Trey said 80 over 4 nights. So let's say we have 20 songs left. So many big hitters sitting on the bench. You got Reba, you got Bowie, you got Ghost. I mean, you got all these songs on the bench. What do you think's getting left off? What do you think we're not going to see? How about that?
Piper? I don't think we're getting Reba or Piper. Out of the ones you mentioned, I do think Ghost and Divided Sky are still.
What about Down with Disease?
Down with Disease 100%.
Definitely.
That's going to be the big jam vehicle tonight, I think.
Yeah.
And 2001, I think we're getting. And then everything else, probably not. Maybe Slave. Yeah, Slave's a good call, too.
Yeah, 2001.
That's my 5. Did I just say 5?
I'm surprised they haven't done 2001 yet. Like, I'm surprised.
I know, me too.
Last night, I was waiting for it, and they did Golden Age.
Yeah. Yeah, which was an odd cover choice anyway, because they haven't really done any covers. So that was
the first cover. One.
Yeah,
and they were putting it up against the Golden Age. Do you really want to do Golden Age in Vegas anymore? I mean,
it's hard, right? Like you've kind of crushed that one there. So anything else will always fall short unless you play like a 45-minute one and like do something spectacular with it.
Exactly. Where do you guys land on this? So I've kind of talked to myself into accepting any of these because I think they're all potentially viable, although I have no idea. The Biosphere is one, which would be animals and life, right? And then I'm just going to kind of like explain all of them so that everybody's on the same page. That was the geosphere/lithosphere, which is the earth, the hydrosphere, which is water, the atmosphere, which is gas and air, and then the biosphere. So that's one. Plasma would be the other option, and that would be states of matter, right? So it's like liquid, gas, solid, and then plasma. Space would be one where it could be like all the earth, the land, the water, the air, and then space. Which all of these are very similar to each other. I also was jokingly putting out Captain Planet, right, where we had earth, wind, we've had fire and water. Fire was kind of in with wind, and then have like heart. Do any of these ring more true to you, or do you think they're just all the same thing?
It's hard because like space I thought for sure one night would be more space themed, like fully.
There's a lot of space songs, but they already did Santos.
Santos, right? Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. And so I don't think you can really get, which is interesting because I thought there would be something around that. I don't know, like, you know, obviously after Water Night, everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's so obvious, it's Water Night," but I don't know. Was it that? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that was
Water Night was pretty obviously Water Night.
I was less sure after
the show.
I was less sure after the show last night what it was than I was before.
Right, exactly. And you know, it didn't feel as on the nose as everyone kind of was predicting the songs last night. And to your point, Kev, what got left off last night, thinking of what it should have been or what it could have been, was interesting. So I don't know. To your point, there is a lot left, and what do those that are left fit into? As far as
I'm looking at Plasma. I'm looking at Plasma as the
Plasma or Gas.
As the
well, last night was definitely Gas because they wouldn't have played a solo Hydrogen. Oh, Kev, you there?
You're bouncing a little bit.
Let his thing catch up real quick.
I'm here.
Last night was definitely Gas, whether it was gas in the sense of like the atmosphere gas or gas in the sense of like the state of matter, because like they would not have done a solo standalone Hydrogen like that if the theme wasn't tied to
like something, but it still had sort of a smell gas because you still had, I don't know. It was an interesting, like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Kev, what were you saying? Is your connection better now?
Yeah. I was going to say with Plasma, you know, last night we were joking, what are they just going to play Plasma if it's that? But I was thinking you could have Energy, you could have Light, Ghost would work because a Ghost can be a Plasma thing. 2001.
I'm not going to call you out for stealing that list from that guy. He's kind of like, first of all, I could see your reading posture because you read like this. Second of all, I saw the tweet about the guy that put out all those songs.
It's true though. I mean, I don't know. And I think, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what
would you prefer? Like, take out speculation and guessing. Like, Kev, would you prefer Plasma? Like, based on those songs, or do you just think it's the most likely?
I'm sticking with it because I started this before they even played. I said it was going to be the Force States of Matter.
Right. No, I mean, so let's establish you think it's going to happen. You're sticking with it. But as far as like, what do you think is going to be the most prosperous, like the best theme? Like, what would give the best
Plasma would. I think Plasma is where you get the space songs. You get all that because Plasma is a ghost and Plasma is space. And
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I like, Biosphere tonight. I think that works.
Biosphere is cool because you could get like a disease and you could get all the various animals and stuff, right? Like Gaiuti. Have they played Gaiuti? No, they haven't played Gaiuti or Llama. Like you could get a really ripping show.
Did an animal night in Vegas.
I know, and we did a water night too. Like I don't think that's.
I never did a whole water night. They did a water set. They never did a whole night before.
Yeah, but it's almost the same thing. I mean, like when they were doing that, I, jokingly was saying, like, did they bring the drones back out and do the whales and the bubbles and all that stuff? Because that was such a unique thing at the time. And then you're like, well, you're playing Split again in this set. You're playing a couple of other songs that we got in that set, and also like Sand the first night and not in the water night. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like animals would, or like some kind of like living creatures or like something like that. In that case, maybe you do get a Piper, right? Because of the worm. But
I'm going to maintain that I don't like the theme idea. Like the thought that they're doing a theme. I think just fucking have the fishiest fish shows, the 4 fishiest shows, like based on your entire catalog, and then come up with cool graphics. So, I mean, honestly, everything they're doing is fine. Just don't fucking make it a theme and don't say it's a theme, and then we don't have to talk about it being a fucking theme. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think I'm over.
Really, the only obvious night of those songs was Water, because I don't even the first night going back and thinking of stuff like how did Fluffhead.
It was more obvious afterwards though, but no, it wasn't perfect,
right?
But like, sand, dirt, farmhouse, fucking. I'm going off memory, but there were a lot of earthy.
But Mike's Lifeboy Pog didn't really match into anything. Sand made somewhat of sense, but not really. Tweezer, that didn't make any sense.
It makes sense for Earth. It's like A large portion
Sand
of the
is Earth. Sand is Earth.
No, I said sand does work in that. That's what I was saying.
You said kind of like it was a stretch. I would say
No,
sand is the most on the
you
nose.
misheard me. No, you totally misheard me. I was saying sand went with your leaves and dirt type thing. The things that
leaves,
didn't
dirt,
go.
sand.
Right. The things that didn't go were like tweezer, Mike's, Lifeboy, Fluffhead, even Antelope. Didn't make a lot of sense in there. Maze, like some of those didn't really fit into that even everything's right to open. It wasn't like obvious, like, oh, we're kicking off the theme. Like everything's right didn't make sense in that theme. So
that was a weird choice. That was a very weird choice to open this whole fucking run with that.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to forgive them for that.
The only thing that makes it great is like we talked about that night was it's 16 minutes long. You get a 16-minute opener that kind of like got you warmed up and into it, which you don't normally get, which was kind of cool.
And the free they jammed out the next night. And what was the opener last night? They jammed out all the openers.
Set Your Soul Free.
Set Your Soul Free. Yeah. I love the choice that they're jamming them, but
yeah.
So what did you make, T, of did you hear the music in the venue playing before everything's right?
Oh yeah. When they came out, they had like kind of a long, which they never do. You know, like they don't really have intro music. But this night, like when the lights went down, they started with like this cool little track, and then it had this like drum beat on it that was circling the like kind of got you in the mood of like, oh shit, like you can hear it going from one end to the other, and then they came on stage and it kept going, and then they started sort of tinkering and went right into Everything's Right with that music. And there was like 2 or 3 songs that night, especially in Antelope, where like it was so obvious the music was switching around. Like I'd lean over to Alex and be like, holy shit, like you hear that? Like it's crazy. It's like behind us. It's like on the side of us. And like Antelope did that, which was added so much to that song. Like listening to Trey talk about the song, the sound in there and the 360 sound and how it's not like Atmos or 5.1 or anything like that is so true. And I think, you know, as you guys were talking about before, going into another venue, that's the one thing I will miss, because, you know, Trey was saying, you know, we sat around, all 4 of us sat in different seats in the venue to hear the sound and realize like it's everywhere. You don't always get that, you know, even he was like, you don't get that at every venue. Like you can't have bad seats and have bad sound. And that's one thing I will miss, because it was so crystal clear. Like it was so dynamically awesome to hear.
Did you venture back? Did you venture back to peek from where the people were under the overhang to see what that looked like?
I did after the show just to see what it looked like. Like we sat down and looked at it, and I was like, okay, if you had already experienced it, you could get away with sitting back here. But if it was your first night, you wouldn't want to sit there, because you're missing the whole you're missing the whole top section and what's going on behind you and stuff. So yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you've already been, to get those seats for sure. But the sound, sitting in it and getting the vibration on your butt is really interesting. Mike's bass sounds incredible in there. Like when he hits some of those notes, that's why I think like Disease would be awesome. Because even in Mike, like when he bangs it, it just like the floor shakes and you're just like, holy shit, man. Like this
they
is
had
like,
to play Disease. I think
is Mike actually going to get a song besides Mike's song? He has not had a set killer yet.
He hasn't. They didn't write any of his into the 80.
Why'd you have to throw that out there? I don't want to even put that out
there. I wonder how much Trey asked the rest of the band, or if he was like, guys, we're playing the Spear. I'll get you a song list in the next couple weeks.
And like no page, I mean, no, you know, no like
Halfway to the Moon or something.
Yeah, or like, you know,
I consider Life Saving Gun, because that was a Page Trey. I think that's Page-esque, but it's a stretch. It's not a lot of Page songs for sure.
What about
with Life Saving Gun? He threw it more to Fishman with the percussion, you know, like thing at the end anyway, and kind of gave him the props of that one. So yeah,
I could see an It's Ice appearing. That would have potential for great.
Yeah.
See, but that's why I don't like the fucking theme, because I agree with you. But the idea of the theme now, the first thing I thought of was like, well, that doesn't really fit with anything. It was like, who gives a fuck? Just play it. It's a great song.
And I thought you'd get it Water Night for sure. I was like, oh, they're gonna play It's Ice tonight for sure as like one of the like Frozen Water theme, or you know what I mean? Like throw it in there as and that would have worked perfectly and been kind of fun. And you probably, you know, who knows what they would have done with the graphics, so they don't want to make it obvious, but it would have been cool to like frost the globe, you know, or whatever, and made it cool.
Yeah. And then maybe have a crack, like the ice cracking above you, you know, like you're underwater or something. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a lot still that I think, you know, for next time when they come back and shit, I think there's plenty to do with it. And
All right, let me throw some out and yes or no if they're going to do it. Oblivion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I don't know. There's so many songs now.
I know.
I just said like 10 other songs I think they're gonna do. All right, I'm not even gonna overthink about it. I'm just gonna give you my gut answer. I think yes on Oblivion. I think there's still a chance for it. Do you have more, or is that it?
Yeah, I got more. The Well.
Not this time.
No.
All right, Bowie.
I'm 50 on it. 50-50.
Yeah,
I could see it, but it's just so crowded. If it wasn't so crowded with the other stuff, I thought I would say yes, but I'm gonna say just misses it.
Right. Yeah. Soul Planet.
No.
All right. First Tube.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think Trey definitely gets. I think yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there. So before it doesn't get interesting, before it gets uninteresting.
I was interested in this.
Yeah, I think you're still got a few to go there. Cavern.
Well, I was thinking Limb by. I really wanted to see Limb by Limb. That there was potential for that. Is that a possibility? A Limb by Limb?
Well, no. I say no to Limb by Limb.
Right. What about Round Room? Is not happening because that's a Mike song.
Bouncing. They should do a bouncing. That would be fun in there. They absolutely should do a bouncing. Absolutely. I mean, for what I know, people have strong opinions about that song, but absolutely, it'd be so fun in there. That would be a fun song in there, honestly.
I still think there's a chance for Round Room. Everybody in chat's being like, no fucking way for Round Room. There's still a chance. It could happen.
Right. We've only gotten, I think, 46 days and one other tune. The first song I heard the Ocean sing that are 2.0 songs. Do you think we get like a Walls of the Cave or a Pebbles and Marbles?
No.
I've been a little surprised at how, especially night one, which was what I love so much about it, but how skewed the set lists have really maintained that 98 to 2000, 2002 kind of vibe in them. Like they really haven't gotten to 4.0 ishy, like overwhelmingly, you know what I mean? Like it's
last night there was a couple more than the previous night.
First two, which you would expect, right? Because the first two nights I was really surprised at the vintage of the songs in there, especially night one. But like
we got the double waves in the water. They're both no.
I think part of that is because they had to come up with the initial list of songs, and it's like, well, what songs of yours do you want to see visualized? And they probably just had a lot of 1.0 songs that when they first start thinking of it, and then what's next beyond that is the new shit that they're excited about, right? So I think like Leaves and like fucking like that's why I think Oblivion's still a possibility, and Life Saving Gun. So it's a weird mix of the other extremes. Is you get our classics we want to visualize, and then the shit we're excited about. And once again, all of the like 2.0 and early 3.0 goodness gets forgotten.
Gets lost in the shuffle.
And they play to your thing though, Tim, not just like the visuals, but like the sound. You know, I think Trey was
that's probably huge for Trey. Was how does it sound?
Right, like I want to hear Fluffhead in this room. Like I want to hear Antelope in this room. You know what I mean? I think there were like certain songs that he definitely picked for that. Like I think The Howling would be another song in there that would be.
We have not got
ways to like move the sound.
No Sci-Fi Soldier, no Sci-Fi Soldier songs yet, and no songs off of Joy. I don't think.
Yeah. So I'm surprised no Sci-Fi Soldier songs. I mean, I guess those are a little bit.
The Howling with the spinning voices, I feel like they have to do.
Howling would be the one, I think.
Yeah, it would really be perfect in there, and it would work with kind of that funk theme anyway. If you did like 2001, even Martian Monster in there, like if you did some of those like funk theme songs.
No Thrilling Chilling either have showed up. Martian Monster would be perfect.
If you forget about themes and stuff, what you're describing to is exactly what I want. Just musically is a very bassy rhythm section, funky dance party.
Yes,
like burn the place down.
Yes.
I love the really drawn out, spacey, like take it for a long walk type of jams. But I'd feel like tonight I would rather get a couple more in there with just really fucking great grooves and high energy. And
yeah,
I was calling for it the other day. I was like, I would love it. And it kind of started to, and then they got away from it. I mean, who knows what the fuck they'll do, but that's what I personally would love to hear tonight.
I agree. I totally agree.
And then, Kev, to your question about 2.0, this isn't a prediction. It's just what I would want. Is fucking 7 Below with the bass that would be fucking. It would sound incredible.
Yeah,
in there. That's such a song where the individual parts are so with the symbol and everything could be so ice, it would sound incredible. Plus, visually with the ice and stuff, I think it'd be another one that works.
There's a lot you could do with that, totally. And I think to your point, Tim, the sound would be incredible in there with songs like that. You know, like those. I wonder if there were songs, you know, to your point, when they laid the list that then got crossed off because they're like, that might be a little too much, or that might be a little too hard because they don't have all the gear. You know, they're not everything's so stripped down on that stage that it's hard.
Like the Marimba Lumia, for example, not being there, they couldn't do like Mercury. Well, Trey said in some of his interviews, because I watched a bunch of different interviews. I forget if it was AP or CBS or what. He said that they cut shit the day before. So like Wednesday, they were making decisions and cutting songs. So like, I don't know how much of that's true. If it was like one thing or if there was like big changes, but yeah, I think that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Curtain would be cool. I don't think Curtain fits in, but it would be cool. Fucking, I hope not Evolve. God damn it.
That should be the fun. I think that would be a perfect like encore final song just to leave everybody with their new album song before it comes out and before tour starts.
Can I bitch about something somebody said in one of the comments or chat? I shouldn't do that, right? You're not supposed to bitch about the people watching you. Someone was giving us shit or giving PHiSH fans shit about like, oh, PHiSH fans hate PHiSH. I've never seen a band have fans that don't like all their songs. And I'm like, and then they started like mentioning Humphreys and Mo and shit. And I was like, that's so not even fair though, because of the depth of catalog alone. Yeah. I think what it is a testament to how many songs there are and what a variety is. And there's something for everybody, right? So it's like, yeah, I'm going to sit here and shit on a handful of their songs, but I'll also fucking stand the shit out of the majority of their songs. And there's so many different styles. It's easy if you really, really like Rage Against the Machine and you like that type of music. 99% of their songs sound like fucking that song. Right? So it's easy to not bitch about the songs, but you also, every song sounds the same. It's like going from Fluffhead to Evolve to Leaves. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of variety there. So yeah, of course we're going to bitch about some of the songs, but the song I hate, T loves, or the song T hates, Kev loves, right? Like that's the thing. There's something for everybody. So just
and I think that works in sort of like what everybody has been posting, you know, on Twitter and stuff about these shows is like, oh, this night was the best night, or oh, this night was the best night. It's the best night for you. It might not be the best night for everybody. You know, it's very hard to judge and say, oh, night 3 is the best night, because it's not necessarily the best night to somebody. Like to me, night 1 was the perfect night for me. Like I know graphics, whatever, like people are saying, oh, they got so much better. That's fine. I got enough of the graphics to get off on what I saw, but the set list, I never get that show. Like whenever there's a 4-night run and I do the 2 nights I do usually or whatever, I get these other 2 shows. Like I got to get through and a Ruby Waves to get my Yem, right? Like I got to get through the crap that I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was cool. Okay, that was a cool version of Theme. I'm not here to see a Theme, but like that was a cool version of Theme. Great, I'm glad. No, like I got my Maze, I got my Tweezer, I got my Fluffhead, I got a sick Mike's with the Life Boy and a Pog, I got an Antelope Encore. Like to me, my heart was so full after that show. I was like, I don't care. I don't need to come another night because I got everything I wanted.
Well, I saw you give me props on that. I had that same assessment. Night 1 was the set list. Night 2 was the production. Night 3, in my estimation, I'm not saying for anybody else, was the playing. Like I thought the individual like execution and jamming was fucking perfect. They just chose a weird ass set list to do it with.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. The night 1 set list, strictly set list, and the songs you're getting was fucking phenomenal.
And not everyone, I don't think not everyone will agree with that, and that's fine. Like you can love one, you know, you can.
They should agree with that.
They should, they should. But I totally get it. And just like Skunky says here, like yes, sometimes the song you do hate when you see it live, you're like that wasn't so bad. The one exception is Drift While You're Sleeping.
Yeah, fuck Drift While You're Sleeping. I hate that song.
I will never.
But honestly, I don't hate any of the other songs that we say hate. Like I like them less than I like all the other songs.
Right. And when you're there, kind of shitty. We always talk about attendance bias, just like the podcast guys with a brilliant name. It's so true. Like when you are there in the venue and you're dealing with the energy and the fans and all that stuff, every song is great. You have a great show no matter what. Sometimes it's just not the songs you want. That's why, like, to get the set list I got was so special to me because, like I said, I rarely get that.
Do you think how much? Last night we were talking about like Mountains in the Mist. You know, I'm not really a fan of that. Shoot me, whatever. But I was like wowed by the visuals, and I feel like if I was there, I would have walked out and been like, "Mountains in the Mist was a highlight tonight."
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's the cool thing about the visuals too, is if there is like in that venue, if there is a song you're not really into, you can get lost in just looking around and spacing out and enjoying the scene, or even sit down and enjoy the seats vibrating on your butt. There's other ways to enjoy the show without being forced to like when you're just at a regular show and you're like, okay, I'll stare at the lights or go take a piss or something. You know what I mean? Like there's other options in there, which makes it really nice to be able to do that.
Have they done a Ghost of the Forest song? I don't think they've done any Ghost of the Forest songs.
Oh, that would be like About to Run would be my choice.
About to Run would be the best one, but if anything, you'd probably get
didn't they
Sea
do
of
Ruby
Stars.
Waves? They did Ruby Waves, didn't they?
Oh, Ruby Waves, right. You probably get Sea of Stars.
Yeah, that they absolutely should do that. I want to admit something too, real quick, while we're talking about songs you love, songs you hate, bets night. I don't say this because I think, you know, I want to pretend like I'm like an authority on shit, but I don't even agree with myself most of the time. And give it enough time, like a day, and I'll change my opinion. They're like last night I was thinking about what I said, or 2 nights ago, I don't forget what night it was, where I wasn't high on stash the night of. I processed it, I absorbed it, I listened to it, and it was the highlight of the show for me. You're like, and I think it's a lot of information to process on the fly, and like we're all just so I don't know, man. It's like
I call it the disconnect. I like to ask people in bands if they record their shows, is there a disconnect between when you walk off stage what you thought about the performance and a week later when you listen to it to put it up on Bandcamp? And a lot of times they're like, yeah, you know, sometimes we're like, that really sucked. We shit the bed, and I listened back to it and I'm like, wow, we were really onto something. We nailed it that night.
Well, I think it's funny too. You know how Mike usually does like his like songs of the tour or whatever, and we'll list them. It is so rare that the songs that he picks that I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good song that night. Like
he's like, terrible at PHiSH. He's the worst fucking PHiSH fan.
I'm always like, I wonder what he heard in that song that he really liked. That why he's listed these 10 songs as his favorites from tour. You're like, maybe one of those I'll get, but the other ones you're like, that's interesting. Like especially from like that show, you're like, there were 3 other songs that show that were awesome, and you picked this random
right. He always picks the one right before or right after the song that everybody else likes.
Right? So I don't know, to your point, Kev, I don't know what they hear or what they feel playing or how it like translates to them, but it's definitely different to everybody else. And I think like Jason said up top, music is subjective.
Right. On stage 2, you have your monitor mix. So Mike is probably really high on himself and has some Fishman, but not too much Trey, maybe some vocal. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Trey might have more Page and less Mike in it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's why he chooses the songs he does for his playlist, because he does that usually at the end of the tour. I think the 4 of them, and this is a great thing, have very different tastes in music and experience that come from different backgrounds. And like that's why PHiSH is the way they are. But I think Mike, out of all of them, is the most not proggy, folksy. Like he's into like, you know, the bluegrass and the folky and like that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of us, you know, at least for me, it's like I really like the prog stuff and the jazz stuff. And I think like Fishman and Trey are more on the prog and jazz side. So that's why I don't always agree with fucking Mike's list, because I'm just, you know, but I also love that he's like that. I wouldn't want any other bass player. You need Mike to be Mike in order for the rest of it to work.
Well, like Trey says, when Mike's not thinking is when he's playing his best, right? He's like, as soon as Mike starts thinking, we start to lose it. It starts to break apart because like you can tell he's like trying to think of the notes. He's like, when he just plays and shuts his mind off and lets it go, that's when I know we're in the zone and everything sounds right. So that's interesting. Like, I wonder if those are the songs he picks too, where he's like, I wasn't even thinking about any. Like,
I was thinking about my car payments.
Right. Like I was just completely mindlessly playing this one, and it came out. It sounds like that, you know, as opposed to this song where I was like thinking about it and struggling to get through it or something. So,
are you watching? Are you got your eye on the stream, Tim?
No, it's 10:50. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, you probably got at least 10, 15 minutes. Are you kidding? Probably. Are you kidding? People are still trying to get in, Kev. Like it's probably not even
yet. I think
that is so crazy that they screwed the pooch on getting people into the venue.
It was so bad too that like people, I heard people, I think even Harley said that they were still outside when Everything's Right started, and they finally ended up having to open up the VIP line to just get people in because it was so, people were missing the show. And she's like, people were like screaming and yelling and like starting to like push.
I paid $1,500 for this fucking ticket. Open the door.
God damn it! Like you're making me miss a song, right? Like yeah. And I will say one other thing: there was more merch stands set up than I've ever seen. Just in like the little lobby when you walked in, there were 4 of them. Just
that
like
line for the poster the first night.
It was crazy.
Here's the hypothetical. T. Let me ask you the hypothetical. You wait in line for 6 hours to get a poster, right? You pay $100 for it. You're walking back. Someone stops you and offers you $1,500 for the poster. Do you sell it to them?
If they're gonna offer that to you, yes, definitely. You would do it. I'm not gonna put it on eBay for 1,500 like some of these assholes have done. And like even some of the people that have listed, like I've been hunting these because like it really pisses me off. And people will have you go into like see sellers other items and they'll have 4 posters listed from the show. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like
they pay people $100 to wait in line, probably.
Like, it's insane. And I will say one thing too, talking about the fans. Harley got a drink spilled on her the first night, and the guy felt so bad. He offered her straight up, had it in his hand, $700 in cash because he spilled his beer on her and was like, take it. And Harley was like, no, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And the guy next to his partner who was with him, it was Harley and her boyfriend, and then these 2 guys behind him. And the guy that was the partner, the guy who spilled the beer, was like, he's got more money than God. Just take the money.
I was gonna say that sounds like a different level of fucking
you know what? My first thought if somebody offered me the $1,500 would be they won big last night at the craps table. Yeah, I'm taking their $1,500.
Or they're a high roller and just fucking in the 1%. Either way, I'm taking the money because I'm broke as shit.
Yeah, right. And don't want to wait in a line or don't want to deal with getting a poster themselves. And are just like, hey, you just got one. Let me buy it from you. But yeah, I'm not posting it for that or any of that kind of shit. In fact, there was a guy in the lobby that had two tubes with him. And I was gonna be like, hey, I'll give you $200 for that second one right now. Like I'm not gonna give you $1,500.
It's an empty tube, and
yeah,
like,
right.
No.
Exactly.
The goose poster. Someone had given him a goose poster, and that's the one he sold.
Right, it's just like a fan art or like a drawn map that you give him, and you're like, sure, here you go. Don't open it until you're gone.
Oh man.
That's great. I want to, Kev. I don't know if I didn't give you guys prep on this, but I wanted to just think off the top of our head highlights from the run so far. You could do jam, you could do visual, whatever spoke to you, but like maybe let's say like 2 or 3 songs that you thought were like they really hit on this run. You got anything or T?
I'd say Life Saving Gone. That really stands out to me. Last night, I thought Pillow Jets, they really found something. I know everyone trashes the lyrics in the song. And visually, I mean, there's so much. But really, I think that the first time I was like, wow, and PHiSH is grabbing the full potential of the spear was when they did Sand.
Yeah, visually, that's 100% when it locked in. I agree with that.
Yeah, I thought like Sand was cool because at first you thought it was like the stars, but when you looked up, you could kind of see this weird triangle that like they were all kind of funneling into and out of. So it kind of went with the thing. I mean, for me, it's obvious bias, but like Kev, I did like Life Saving Gun was that was the first time I heard it live. So
the TVs were cool. That was neat.
That was fun. Like that was
a cool song too.
Yeah, it is. Like I really liked it live and some of the jam. And again, they played like 3 15-minute songs in that first set that first night, which was like really cool to get like jammy songs in that first set, which was fun, I thought. And I mean, Antelope still, I think that was still the combination of the graphics with the song was still like
that was the other highlight for me from the first night.
My biggest highlight from that night. And again, I thought that Fluffhead, re-listening to it, was pretty good. Like I thought Trey kind of nailed the composed section in it for the first time in a long time. Like I thought
he dropped like an entire phrase off
the phrase in it, some of it, but the playing I thought was like pretty solid. So I don't know.
The visual for theme was just too perfect. Well, I mean, with them on the bottom of the ocean playing that and the fish turning into people, it was.
I thought last night the thing that looked like your bracket, Tim, the Pollock look.
The Pollock
that was really cool. The puzzle look and just the fact that like they made it look like the old like Roman or Greek, room with like the beautifully ornate ceiling and stuff. I thought that was a really cool visual.
I thought it was going to spin and connect.
I didn't want to double down on T, but yeah, he had a massive flub.
He did,
but besides that, he got back.
T was having a moment. You leave T alone. He had a moment.
I'm surprised neither of you mentioned the Fuego though from last night. That Fuego jam was phenomenal, and actually the Pillow Jets was for me too, Kev. I want to defend myself for a second to you because I don't know. I was grumpy and I didn't do it. I listen to the songs differently than you, and I don't think one way is better than the other. But what you're hearing when you listen to Pillow Jets is this interesting lyrics that's like, oh, that's profounding. What I hear is dum, 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 dum. It's fucking like the bass is just doing bell tones, and it's a straight drum beat, and it's boring as shit musically with cool lyrics. And I haven't trained myself to focus on the lyrics. Once they got out of the verses and got into the jam, I loved it.
I listened to it again of thunder.
Well, that's why I listened to it today, but it's because you got me intrigued by the lyrics. So I went back and re-listened to it, and I like forced myself. I was like, only listen to the lyrics. And I was like, this is a neat song. I enjoy this. But my default is not to listen to the lyrics. I'm listening to the bass line. And, it's just some songs have really fucking interesting music in it, and other songs are boring. That's all.
It goes back to albums for me growing up that always had lyrics. Like when I listen to a new song, I'll see if I can find the lyrics online so I can read along because it's so hard for me to hear something for the first time and understand what they're saying.
Ever. And even after 100 times, and then you see the lyrics, you're like, oh, that's what he was saying? Huh. Okay. Interesting. And I'm with you, Kev. Like I always like to kind of know what it's saying, even though I'll probably forget it after, not, if I don't keep singing along or whatever, I'll forget it. But again, it just goes back to like, Tim, music is so subjective. Like you're listening to one part of it, Kev's listening to another part of it. I like a different part of it. Like it's awesome. It's so interesting. I love it. It is. It's so fun.
Brian, am I still grumpy? I know I was grumpy last night, but I don't think I was grumpy tonight. I was feeling and Ken was fucking with me pre-show. Everybody on the comments, Jesus Christ, everybody's like, oh, mom and dad are fighting. Tim's so grumpy. And I was like, okay, but Kev was really fucking with me hard in the green room. And he's like, poke, 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 poke. And then we go live, and then I'm just like all like, and everybody's like, oh, why is Tim so grumpy?
That's the thing, is like everyone who says like we're mean to Kev or you're mean to Kev, you don't know the backstory to it, and it's never really meanness. Like we give him a lot of chiding and
it's fine, Brian.
Backstage and our threads and stuff anyway, but like he definitely has a way of being very impulsive sometimes, and both Tim and I will be like, Kev, what did you just do? And then like all of a sudden we're live and you're like, oh shit, now you got to get composed and like be ready to go and
not get fixated on the shit he just also we're like family. I mean,
pro tip for everyone watching: if you're going to deliver bad news, do it right before you go live.
We have the little clock on our screens too that like lead it up, so like the countdown, and it'll say
30
like
seconds. Sorry, drop it.
Oh, not even. You do it sometimes where there's like 8 seconds, and I'm like, oh man, I'm about to hit play.
Or he'll bring up something that like needs time to like we need to talk about, and he'll bring it up right before we go on, and like he'll be like, oh, so we're gonna do a lot tomorrow, and you're like, fuck, you're saying that with like 5 seconds before we're going on. I guess we'll try and promo it or something, and then you're like, oh god.
And then we're doing a lot.
And we have, and I've had a lot of
watching. Thank you for everyone who's watching, and make sure that you tune in 15 minutes after
we have a couple of minutes. Don't bring us out yet, man.
I'm still trying to sell it. Still
selling it.
Still selling it.
You were trying to force the credits a couple minutes
early.
Don't
you have to pee and get a beer and
projection? Do you have to pee and get a beer? Go pee and get a beer, dude. It's fine.
I'm just asking.
Oh, I've had a lot of Kev the last 4 days. We've done three to 4 shows a day. Plus, we're working on the Wookiees. So I've talked to him more than anyone else on this planet the last 4 days.
Right, and I've been away, so it's been very nice. Like I haven't been really anywhere near anything. So it's
you've been away. Llama's doing his thing, and it's just been Kevin and I just fucking talking constantly. And I could not have a better person to help me with all this shit and to do this with Kev. I do love you, and I'm sorry if I'm a grumpy asshole sometimes.
shout out. We are at 666.
I know. We were.
It seems like a good time to. All right, did you get all the housekeeping in? I don't know.
Come back tonight, and on the 28th, we're gonna next week on the 24th, we got the Wookiees. 28th Sunday morning, 10 a.m. T and I will be with Lo Faber. He's gonna get up early on the West Coast to hang with Lo, and then then we got some big announcements coming. We got some big announcements coming.
Well, I was gonna tease that actually. If you're a member, definitely make this set break hang, because I think we're gonna be talking a little bit of programming and giving some teases as to the future of the channel and the shit we have planned. So if you are a member and you're inclined, come hang out, because we're gonna talk about the sphere and everything, but we got big things coming. So I hope you all can come and hang out with us.
First time commenter in the chat. Look at that. Welcome. Good job. Way to pop your cherry in there. Jump in and conversate. Everyone's friendly.
Brett's been killing it tonight. I had a bunch of questions that led the I Please continue to comment on these shows. We love it.
And I want to say too, everybody I ran into at the shows were awesome, and I can't wait to run into everybody in Monday Green. Monday Green, a blast with us, because we'll all be there together finally and seeing everybody. So, awesome.
Are we camping? You gave us a spoiler. We got to talk.
He is camping. He's going to deal with it. We'll get him to.
I will. Don't. If you want to see me, make sure you see me the first couple days, because by the last day, I'm going to be at
a hotel somewhere.
Anybody.
That was so funny.
I got somebody with a hotel tea that I can probably get you a bed.
There you go.
So, we got to give context real quick. I know we're getting out, but a couple weeks ago, the plan was we're all going to go and camp at the festival, right? A day and a half into Vegas, he's like, I can't do this shit. I don't know about the whole camping thing.
I was like, guys, I don't know how I'm going to last 4 days in camping. I've done 2 days in Vegas in a bed and a shower, and I'm dying.
We got to go to the show. Have a good show, buddy. Later.